Hi, everybody. Welcome to this week's Marketing with a Book and Speech podcast. So glad to have you here. So this is where we examine the book as the #1 marketing tool and speaking as the #1 marketing strategy. So we have authors here who are in the arena, as Teddy Roosevelt would say. They're in the arena doing this. We're going to tap into their wisdom. We have an author who's going to share her wisdom today. I like to start these off with the author roll call. So everybody, the author roll call is not an elevator speech. The author roll call is your name and your book title, and just your title, not your subtitle. Sometimes when we get the subtitle, we forgot what the book title was. So it's just your name and your book title. So we're going to start with David, and then Mark and Mary. So if you could unmute yourself and then fire away.
Hi, I'm David Goldman, and I wrote the book, The Road to Happiness.
Hi, my name is Mark LeBlanc, and I wrote the book, Never Be the Same.
And Mary?
Yes, hello, my name is Mary Schmidt, and I wrote the book, Make or Break Conversations.
Welcome, Steve Brody.
Hi, I am Steve Brody. The book title is What Happens After the Sale.
Thanks. And Bill, tell us about your upcoming book. Oh, you're on mute, Bill.
That's when I'm at my best.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Bill Leiter. My soon-to-be released book is Mastering Your Balance.
Thank you. And Teresa and Sonia.
Thank you. My name is Dr. Teresa Ashby, and I wrote the book, Better Implementation Now.
Thanks. And Sonia and Diane.
My name is Sonia Jante, and I wrote the book, The Integrative Leader.
Diane?
Hello, my name is Diane Ployce, and I'm working on the book, Questions to Ask Before You Buy a Franchise.
Okay. And then Regina and Mason.
Hi, I'm Regina Barr, and I'm working on a book called Solving the Confidence Riddle.
Nice. Mason?
Yes, hi everybody. Sorry I'm a little late. My name is Mason Harris, sometimes known as the Chutzpah Guy, and the name of my upcoming book is The Chutzpah Advantage.
Okay, thanks. Did I get everyone there? Well, except for Eleni. So our special guest today is Eleni Kelakos. So I'm helping Eleni edit her book now. I hope she'll tell you a little bit about it. She has been an actress in New York, an actress in LA, people like Jeff Daniels. She tells a story like that in the middle of the book. And I said, Eleni, that's going at the front of the book. And George Carlin, that's got to go in the front of the book. And there's some other people in there. So has had great experiences, but is also a singer-songwriter and has great experiences there. And really, if there's a theme in her work, it's empowering women to take the stage, to empower women to be their best selves when giving presentations. And so many good things happen from that. So glad to have her today. And Eleni, welcome. And the stage is yours.
Why, thank you. It's an honor and a privilege. Looking at my editor, whose words are like diamonds to my ear, precious. I'm grateful to be here. And I remember the very first time that I was broadsided by fear in a performing situation. I was 15 years old, and I had been cast as Queen Agravain in the high school production of Once Upon a Mattress. And I'd rehearsed, I was ready, I was all dressed up. It was opening night. And there I am, and I'm in my throne, sitting next to my king. And the curtain goes up. And I take one look at that audience, right? At the beast with many heads, as I like to call it. And I froze. I froze. And I had one of the first lines. And so I leaned over to my king and I said, "What's my first line?" And fortunately, he knew it. And he whispered it back to me. And the show went on. I wasn't so lucky several years later when I was living in New York City and got a call for the biggest gig in my whole life, singing the national anthem at Shea Stadium, okay? 34,000 Mets fans. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of eyeballs. And they put me in this little holding pen, right next to the field. I could see the microphone waiting for me right near the pitcher's mound. And I'm waiting and I'm nervous, but excited. And this ancient groundskeeper, he taps me on the shoulder and he says, "Hey, did you know that the great Broadway singer, Robert Goulet, forgot the words to the national anthem?" Robert Goulet. And then he unlocks that gate and he ushers me onto the field. And I mean, now I'm walking onto that field. What do you think I'm thinking, right? What do you think I'm thinking? Oh my God, Robert Goulet forgot the words to the national anthem. Robert Goulet, oh my God, oh my God. I walk up to that microphone, I open my mouth, and I start to sing. Oh, say, can you see? And I'm doing fine. I'm doing fine. What so proudly we hail at the twilight last gleaming. Robert Goulet, oh my God, he forgot the words to the national anthem. I soldier on, I soldier on. Whose broad stars and bright stripes. And in that moment, yeah, I forget the words to the national anthem in front of 34,000 people, yep, who all knew the words to the song. They're all singing. And somehow I get through this thing. Somehow I get through it. And I slink off the field in tears because 34,000 people, not including all my relatives who've been watching on TV screens up and down the Eastern Seaboard, have not seen me perform at my peak. And all because I was broadsided by fear. Fear. The F word. Fear can make you play small. It can make deliciously vibrant, expert people suddenly forget where their belly button is. Now, I know I am talking to wonderful humans, authors, who are going to put their voices out there on speaking platforms left and right, so people can not only, so people can not only find your beautiful books, but sip from your fountain of knowledge. And if fear gets in your way, which it will do, no matter how expert you are, if CNN comes calling, I assure you every one of us on this call would probably have knocking knees. I know I would. If fear comes calling, like CNN, and you wind up listening to Mo and Schmo, the little judgers in your head who are hissing evil things like, no one's going to take you seriously, and oh my God, I know that speaker in the front row. That's a really good speaker compared to me. Oh my God, she's amazing. I am nothing. If you listen to the lies that bind you and seize up with fear, you will miss your chance to shine. Basically, you'll drop your cue That's the term for it. Dropping your cue, not stepping fully into it, bringing it everything that you have. So I don't want that to happen to any one of you. I know for sure that at some time in your speaking career, no matter how experienced you are, something or someone will come along. They'll be your own little personal groundskeeper, tapping you on the shoulder and throwing you for a loop. And I thought the best thing that I could do to be of use and help to you was share a simple little tool that I had to learn. A tool that can help you stay grounded, breathing, and relaxed when you step into a spotlight moment, or even if you're thrown when you're in the midst of a spotlight moment. Now, I had to learn this because really honestly, after my Shea Stadium debacle, I knew I was in trouble. You know, I knew I had to figure out how to manage my fear. So I went to master level teachers in Manhattan, and they helped me learn some of the things that I teach my clients. And this comes out of that work. Now, it's very, very simple because simple is good. And it's based on a simple principle, which I believe with all my heart. Fear cannot hit a moving target. Action trumps fear. And that's so important, I'm going to repeat it. Fear cannot hit a moving target. Action trumps fear. When you are broadsided by fear, you sphincter up, you shut down. And if you're not, really, if you're shut down, you're not breathing. And if you're not breathing, you're not thinking. You need to be able to have a tool or two in your kit that can help you breathe, center, and be. I call that R and R and R, ritual, routine, and repetition. And major level actors and athletes like Michael Phelps, they all have R and R and R, ritual, routine, and repetition that they do consistently before they step into a spotlight moment. So this is one of my favorite things. It's very simple. I call it FBI. And I would really like you to do this with me, okay? And even if it makes you feel really, really silly. But before we do, I'd like you to do me a favor and just shake your hands out, please. Just shake them out. I want to see them shaking. I can see you, so shake them out a little bit like you're kind of getting water off of them. And then I would love it if you would bring your shoulders up to your ears like this. And then exhale with an ah. Ah. Great. And you know what I'd really like you to do? I'd like you to stand up for a second, please. That's what I'm going to do. And I want you to move your bootay, a little bootay, a little bootay, a little bootay. Gentlemen, I want to see you move your bill. I want to see you move your bootay. That's it. That is gorgeous. I love it. I love it. All right. Now another just overall, get the yayas out, shake. All right. You may be seated. Now, normally I teach this standing up, but you know, we're doing an awful lot of sitting lately when we're with other people on Zoom. And I thought, I'm going to teach it to you sitting down. But typically I do this and teach my clients to do this in a standing position. Here it is, simple as pie. You ready? F is for floor, foot, or footing. I want you to feel the floor beneath your feet. Wiggle your toes in your shoes. And by the way, F is also for fanny. So feel your seat under your fanny. Okay? I was working with a disability group yesterday, and I wanted to make sure to honor the people who were sitting in chairs. But I like F is for fanny. All right, ground yourself. That's step one. When you go into fight or flight, you move out of your body and into outer space hanging above your head. Root yourself. B is for breath. Belly. Bring your belly into your breath. Now, typically what I would do is I would stand in a power pose with my hands like this, right? Like Wonder Woman or like Superman. And I would close my eyes and I would inhale and exhale 10 times, just following my breath. And I would think a word like calm or center right at the top of the breath. And then I exhale. I would do it 10 times, but we don't have all the time in the world. I'd like you to do it 3 times, okay? Put your hands right here where you can feel that breath, right? As your belly goes in and out. Close your eyes. And then I just want you to breathe normally. Just watch your breath in a sense internally. Breathe in. Think a word like calm or peace. And then breathe out. Go ahead and do that 3 times. When you're done with that, so that I know, do me a favor and thumb your nose at me, then I will know you're done. And that you're also listening. As in, yeah, just thumb your nose at me. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. 10 times. By time number 7, you'll start to feel that breath easily in your belly, right? Nice, easy. B is for bring your breath into your belly, right? Breath, belly. I is the final one. It's your intention. It's remind yourself about what you're there to do in service to your audience. If you're like my clients, you've actually written it out because that intention forms, it's actually the spine of your presentation. It's why you're there in service to the audience. So remind yourself why you're there. And I is also for eyeball to eyeball, heart to heart. Because when it comes down to it, it's all about connecting with your audience of one or many. Connect first, speak second. This is a gathering yourself a little tool. F, foot, floor, footing. Fanny. B, breath. Belly, bring your breath into your belly. Get a hold of your breath, which will have moved up here in fight or flight. Drop it into your belly. And I is for intention. Remembering what you're there to do, the task at hand. Now, this is the simplest thing. Simple is good because when you're in fight or flight, it's hard to remember anything. But you can remember FBI. It can calm you before you step in to a speaking scenario. And if something goes wrong, simply modify it like this. Have some water with you in either, in a little bottle or like this. And stop what you're doing if something goes wrong. Find the floor with your feet. Grab your glass of water. I put one hand in a power pose. Take a sip of water. I exhale. You have to exhale after you take a sip of water. You're forced into it. And then what's my intention? Get back to what you're there to do. Being able to do something really simple in a moment when you're broadsided by fear can get you back on track. You can use FBI as a preparation tool to manage that fear before you step in and the fear that might come up if something goes wrong. So I just want you to think about that just for one moment. How might that help you? How willing would you be to just take a moment to find the floor with your feet? Bring your breath into your belly. Get back to what you're there to do. I hope that the tool is helpful and that you use it and that you remember. Fear cannot hit a moving target. Action trumps fear. Don't let fear stop you, ever. Look it in the eyeballs, engage in your R and R and R, so you can use your words to change your world. Thank you.
This is how you applaud in Zoom. You wave your hand, jazz hands. So thank
I love the jazz hands aspect of it.
Yes. Eleni, what an outstanding job. Brava.
Thank you.
That was rocking the short talk. That was 15 minutes. And look at what you can do in 15 minutes. And we all have a takeaway from this. Eleni has so much she can teach. I think the hard part is figuring out what are you going to focus on. It was great.
Yeah.
I have questions.
Good. I love questions.
Yes. So you talked about the emotion of fear. It's scary. Why do you think it's so scary for so many to give a presentation?
I really think that from my experience of it, both personally and with the multitude of clients I've worked with, when it comes down to it, we're all terribly afraid that we're going to be found out for being not enough in some way. Well, either not enough or too much of something. I call that the terrible twos. You know, too loud, too obnoxious somehow. You know, we want so badly to fit in with the group. For us, I think it's pretty primal. You know, we come from tribes, and safety means safety in numbers, and being part of a tribe is a place of safety. And so when you are standing in front of a group, you're instantly feeling like other, and it feels terrible. You feel vulnerable. You're worried, oh my God, what will people think? Will I say something wrong? Will I do the wrong thing? Will they not like me? And frankly, back in the day, when we relied on one another in tribal days, if we were cast out of the group, we could die. So the fear is larger than it really needs to be. We still feel that fear. And really, honestly, Henry, if people would only do the reverse of what they feel like doing in that moment, what people feel like doing is cover up and recoil. But in truth, what can help solve that feeling of other is reaching out and connecting with that audience, one to one to one to one. But it goes against our nature. So I have to help my clients understand. Reach out, form that sacred aid of energy back and forth. Connect with that audience, and your fear will begin to subside.
Let me shift gears. Eleni, you have charisma with a capital C. Now, do you have to be born with that?
Heck no. Well, actually, I feel everybody's born with charisma. I feel everybody is born with what I call transformational presence, which to me is your ability to be so fully who you are, overflowing with all your yumminess, with eyeballs on you, right? Without apology. We're born like this. Any of you who've had a child, or whether it's a human one or a little furry one, you know what it's like. They're laying there looking, you know, they're in the crib, or, you know, if you have a little kitten, they're running around the room, just being kittens or babies of any kind. They're not trying to do anything. They're not trying to impress you, and they're not trying to get the gig. They're just being, and you cannot take your eyes off of them. See, that's charisma. That's transformational presence. Because charisma, you know, the only thing it is life force. In Greek, all the good words come from the Greek. I come from Greek originally, so I'm saying that's all it means, life force. So we all start out like that. Where it goes awry is when we step out into the world and we start getting the messages, you know, don't be you, use your indoor voice. And we start playing small, right? That's what happens. So I think charisma / transformational presence is something we all have. We just have to allow it.
So you're an actor. You're a New York actor. You're a Hollywood actor. What can us mere mortals learn from an actor or from acting?
I love that question, because I think that I have to say this. I think actors get short shrift. I think people think acting is really easy. I know a lot of people watch TV or whatever and they think, oh God, I can do that. I I can't believe he's getting paid so much to do that. You know, I always think, really, try getting up at 5 in the morning, spending 2 hours in makeup, wearing uncomfortable clothing, and then even though you have this massive zit that you haven't had since you were 16, suddenly appear on your nose, you know, and you had a fight with your spouse, you have your big, huge close-up monologue that could make or break your film career that morning at 7. And that camera is within, you know, it's like within touching distance. And somehow you have to reveal yourself. It's the ability to be present and breathing when people are watching that actors learn, and they learn it in class. They learn it by doing exercise work that helps them breathe and be. And stop trying to, quote, act, if that makes sense. Acting is about truth telling. It's about revealing. And we learn how to reveal. We reveal. We do this. It's scary, but we learn the tools to do it. We also learn how to make the best choices possible to realize material. We learn to make bold choices. We ban wishy-washy because we know that beige does not read from the stage. We also learn to listen very well because we're working with partners all the time. We learn to be in the moment with people. And we learn that it's okay to have emotions and feel vulnerable. We also learn the most important thing of all. It's okay to be silly and play. I think this could help anybody, but especially speakers, especially in the rehearsal process. If you can actually allow all of that to happen and then bring yourself really present and alive in front of your speaking audience, you really stand a chance to connect with them and move them.
Eleni, would you share your story about an actor and singer-songwriter Jeff Daniels? Because obviously an actor doesn't worry about this anymore, or do they?
So I am very fortunate to know the actor Jeff Daniels through my husband, Jim, who you may not know this about Jeff Daniels. He's a remarkable actor. He's was on the Newsroom. You might know him from Dumb and Dumber. He's an award-winning actor for all the right reasons. He's an actor's actor, and he's very funny. So I know him through my husband, who books him as a singer-songwriter. He's an excellent singer-songwriter. And he lives in Michigan, where I do. And we just happened to be at an event together. And, you know, we talk shop. We like to talk about theater together. And he sidled up to me at this event, and he sat down in only the way that he could. And he said, Eleni, I'm going to go to New York, and I'm going to do a Broadway musical. And I said, oh my God, Jeff, that's awesome. That's fantastic. He said, no, you don't understand. I am going to New York and I'm going to do a Broadway musical. I said, I don't get it. What is wrong with that? He said, Eleni, I've never done a Broadway musical. I'm scared. Well, and then he used a profane word, less. And I said, well, then why are you going to go do it? And he said, because I've never done a Broadway musical. And I thought, that right there, that is what people can really learn from actors. It's about being willing to do the work, not shirking the work, to do the work, right? To be fully present, even when something is awkward, even when you have to stand in the murky middle of discomfort when you're learning something new. He was willing to do whatever it takes to get really good, to achieve mastery. This is what top-level actors learn. This is why actors spend their lives in the classroom. I miss my acting class from New York. I was in there twice a week, whether I was working or not. I took class with other really great actors. I did it in LA. I miss it now. I've been thinking of going back to class, trying to find a class around here. Because you just want to get better because it's fun to get good. That is what Jeff said too recently. He's doing what we are all doing. He's having to translate, right, his performances to video. He's playing and he's playing guitar and singing into a camera to audiences now. And he said, you know what? I'm marrying camera technique with performance technique. It's really been challenging, he said, but you know what? It's fun. It's fun to get better. Gotta
That's so
love
great.
that.
Okay. Now, if I had one message to share with the authors, it's this. And I'm a positive person, mostly. But my message is, you're not as good as you think you are. And I say that into the mirror. And we all do. A real professional keeps working at this. And I'm reminded of the movie The Natural, where there's an early scene where the father says to the young Roy Hobbs, you've got a gift, it's not enough. If you rely on your gift, you will fail. So the message to all of us is we can't just rely on our gifts. So Eleni, what are the top three mistakes that you see that people make when they put together and deliver a presentation?
They have a weak or non-existent intention, which makes for a weak presentation. They're not sure why they're there. They haven't taken the time to really figure that out. Followed by a weak opening. I could talk all day about that. That's another podcast. But you know, they don't take the time to hook people in, set up the problem, help them know why they're there, let them know where they're going to go on the journey together. They don't set it up with a bang. They don't start with a bang. And then the ending is usually really lame. I'm sorry to say that. I'm sure that's not the case for anyone watching this, but it happens to be that with the speakers and the authors and so forth that I'm working with, that I find a little bit of tweaking that needs to happen in those areas, and the ending, which tends to be sort of a wishy-washy kind of I'm done kind of ending. People remember the very last thing that you say. So what are you going to say? What's that call to action? Can you
That's
tell
so
I get
great.
heated up about this? Because I'm heated
I
up.
think so. I think so.
Henry, you know, I just want to make sure that I have a gift for people, and I just really, really, really want to make sure that I tell people about it.
Well, sure.
So I have this 81-page Transformational Presence Self-Study Workbook, and I have it in PDF form. There is a little link to it, which I believe Suzanne is going to post, though I can speak it out loud, but honestly, it would be much better if you saw it. And I hope that you go and you get it, because the various things I've talked about are mentioned in there, and it would be reinforcing, and it would make me happy to know that you have this material.
They can also hear you at the Indie Family and Friends Forum, where we're going to give you the main stage.
That's right.
Unfortunately, this year through Zoom, and fortunately, when we get back together live, the invitation is always there for you, Eleni, to
Thank you.
be
I
on our
appreciate
stage.
that. You know, I appreciate that so much.
And I appreciate you and what you're sharing here. And it's part of this family. So you're part of the family, and the family helps each other. As Devin says, like any family, we have some oddballs in it too, but we're there to help. I wasn't talking about you or me.
Oh, yeah, I'm an oddball. It's okay. I'm good with that.
I own it. Yeah.
yeah.
My wife says, just own it.
Just own it.
Just own it. I was checking, and Suzanne, did any questions come up? If anybody has a question for Eleni or myself or Mark LeBlanc, it's always a good time to ask that. And if you could just put it in the chat box. I'm going to ask Eleni one more. The one thing, what's the one thing, the most important thing in your opinion to have an effective presentation?
Practice, 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 and then practice again out loud against a clock. Seriously, and when I say, I would say overall preparation, because I have learned as a speaker, as well as a singer, as well as a guitarist, as well as an actor, that if I've practiced enough, then I can release, I can let go and surrender to the stage. You want to get to the point with your material that you know it like the back of your hand and you're sick of it. You want to get to the point like actors get when they are tired of doing the play just for themselves, and they can't wait to get in front of an audience because they're bored silly from doing it, rehearsing it. And I know that sounds excessive, and I'm not telling you necessarily to know every bit of it by heart, though I do say that about short talks and about anything under a certain length of time, 5 minutes, 7 minutes, even 17-minute TED Talks. You should know these things. But you really, really need to know your opening, your closing, your stories. These things should be like poetry to you that you can recall, so that you can let go and be present. There's an expression I wish I'd come up with, but amateurs practice until they get it right. Professionals practice until they can't get it wrong. That, to me, is what separates the true masters from those who are maybe on their way there. So encouraging yourself, I'm not saying over prepare, get to the point where you know it. And if someone were trying to interrupt you, you could probably do it, and then trust it's in there. Trust it's like a second spine that you can rely on.
One of my investors once paid $25,000 so I could get a master class from one of the best in the business, who I will not name because it was a confidential insider approach. The first class on presentations, he said, I don't have a prepared presentation today. I'm just going to take questions. And people would ask him a question and bam, he delivered this amazing piece. And then another question, bam, another amazing piece. And this went on for 90 minutes. No notes, no PowerPoint slide, nothing. And then we got revealed that he had prepared so much, it didn't matter what the question was. He had that prepared. Mark LeBlanc also is at that level. And I've seen him do it time and again where, oh, ask me a question. And he's never like, oh, that's a good question. Let me think about that. Let me get back to you. You're prepared. So it's not necessarily you've scripted every word, but you can deliver a 5-minute presentation or a 3-day presentation. But as Mark Twain said, if you want me to speak for 2 hours, I'm ready to go. If you want me to speak for 5 minutes, I'm going to need a month to prepare. So the shorter the talk, the more preparation.
Yeah. I agree with that, Henry. I spent the better part of 2 weeks with one client on a 5-minute talk he was going to give for a Forbes, the Forbes Summit.
Yes.
Like a very talented young man he was a Forbes 30 under 30. And he had created a substance, actually. I'm holding it in my hand. It's a little piece of it. But this incredible substance that could be used in manufacturing at low heats, that was hard, didn't break, that was inexpensive. And I mean, it's a real world-changing invention, if you will. And they gave him 5 minutes to talk about it. I mean, seriously, at one of the most prestigious events of the year. And God love him. He put the time in. We worked on it. There wasn't one word out of place. It was conversational and real. It was relaxed. It was so compelling that when he finished doing it, he had to stay 2 extra days to field all of the meetings that people wanted to have with him. And it was worth working on. Why? Because it was his target audience. There were people in that audience he knew would be interested in potentially investing in his product. So that's what it takes.
So I'm going to shift gears. I'm going to ask for a favor from everybody in the audience. For Eleni, when Eleni's book is published, for a period of time, we're going to offer it for sale for 99 cents. And I'd like everybody, as a show of appreciation, to show your gratitude, to spend 99 cents and purchase that book and go on to Amazon.com and give an honest review of the book. You don't have to give her a 5. As a matter of fact, if everybody gives a 5, it looks like the fix is in. So a 3 and a 4 is fine. Don't worry about giving a 1 or a 2. There are enough haters on the internet. They'll do that for her. And it'll be more credible than 24 5s. And I'd like you to do that favor for as many indie books authors as you can. That's how we can support each other in the family. Because if you think you're judged in a presentation, you're judged on Amazon.com. And one of the ways you get judged is how many people have reviewed this book. We live in the Yelp nation. We live in the world of the Google review. And for us, it's Amazon. And it's not just the score we get. More important is the number. I saw the record the other day. I was helping one of our authors and we looked at a review and it had 27,000 positive reviews on Amazon. I always say, if you can get to 100, you're doing great. It just so happened that Julia Roberts made a movie of this person's book and that picked up some reviews. So if you can help Eleni when it comes out, some other people on the call here, we're going to encourage more and more of that. And, you know, it's not that much money. It's really your time. And there's no quid pro quo. It's not, oh, who's keeping score on who's doing who. Just the more we can do and help the family, that'll really help. You can also amplify things when her book comes out. Share something on Facebook, share something on LinkedIn. The more we share and spread the word, the more powerful this becomes. So I really want to encourage you to do that. If you haven't signed up for the IFF forum, I really encourage you to come. We're going to have networking. We have a speaking competition. We have all different ways for you to meet the other authors who are there, get to know their work a little more, and together we can amplify each other's work. So I want to thank Eleni for being with us today and want to thank all the authors. And we'll see you next week on Marketing with a Speech and a Book. Thanks, everybody.